Right lane's open. Traffic's jammed back to Union Station. A crash eastbound 70 east to Salisbury. A shorter jam there. And I can't tell what it is, but it looks like it's in the left lane. Southbound 55 near Delore. The Delore overpass. It's a solid jam on southbound 55 right now at Arsenal. Westbound 64 Boyle out to Clayton Skinker jam. Still kind of slow out through Big Bend. Approaching Ballas. West of Clarkson, most of the way to Boone Bridge, it's busy. K midway to Winghaven, and then just out at Prospect. South 270, south of 364 down through about Doherty Ferry, Big Bend down to Gravois. Those are slow stretches. 170 around Ladue to 64. 44 west of Jameson out through Laclede Station is a little busy right now, and westbound 64 still backed up approaching 158 through Greenmount. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Brought to you by Eamon Gantner and Capriano, YourEstateMatters.com. Hi, Margaret with Eamon Gantner and Capriano. Life happens. Accidents, deaths. Make your estate plan now, or the courts will decide for you later. Eamon Gantner and Capriano, YourEstateMatters.com.
The choice of an attorney is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Guys, welcome into Monday on Rush Hour Sports on KMOX. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Guys, hope you had a great weekend. We had plenty of great football. We had, I think, one of the best finishes we've seen. We talked a lot on the anniversary of Game 6, how that was one of the greatest World Series games, to me, the best I've ever seen. But this year's World Series tried to give some competition, didn't it?
Yeah, it's hard for me to say that, yeah, it was the greatest World Series I've ever seen, because it's hard to explain. I've seen quite a few that I really am fond of, but man, this one was dynamite. It was outstanding. So it ranks high up on that list. It had a little bit of everything. But it's what a World Series should be. Lots of drama, lots of stars, lots of twists and turns, some things that make you smack your forehead, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've talked about this a lot. I want every game to be a really good story. And you think about, it's not just Game 7. And Game 7 was spectacular, with so many plays made where literally centimeters in the other direction could have changed the course of the game and changed the winner. And that is so awesome in a Game 7. But even Games 1 through 6, having the 18-inning game, having the Yamamoto complete game, having that 9-run inning the Blue Jays having a pinch hit grand slam, first one ever in the history of the World Series. Are you kidding me? I mean, this thing was awesome from first pitch to last pitch.
Yeah, you had stars being stars, right? Vladdy Guerrero had one of the best postseasons you'll find. Shohei Ohtani had so many signature moments. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was top of the top in terms of being an ace in not only in the World Series but in the playoffs. But then it was also guys like Miguel Rojas and Ernie Clement, right? I mean, like, Ernie Clement was this close to being one of the biggest playoff heroes, underdog heroes maybe, in a long time. I mean, he had a little bit of everything, which is what I loved about it.
Exactly. And maybe we'll have a few minutes to get into this. I wrote something about it today. The Dodgers used, in my opinion, like an NBA-style approach to load management to pull this off, because last year their starting pitching was completely shredded by the time they got to the postseason. They were fortunate to win the World Series, but the bullpen came through. But this year, man, if you look at the final two games, the four starting pitchers that the Dodgers used all season, the four starting pitchers handled over 80% of the innings of the final two games. Now that's load management, because when you have your four guys that fresh at the end of the long journey, I mean, well played by the Dodgers. They're more about, they're not all about spending money, although I must say, to be able to do the load management thing, you have to have tons and tons and tons of pitching depth, which means funding them and finding ways to manipulate the roster. And the Dodgers used 40 pitchers during the regular season. 40. You know how many the Cardinals used? 24. Ali Marmol's fault. Ali Marmol's fault.
Yeah, I mean, like, most teams wouldn't even be in the postseason if a pitcher the caliber of Blake Snell only made 11 regular season starts.
Right.
You know? But when you got 3 MVP candidates, Matt, and maybe even more than that, but 3, in Betts and Freeman and Ohtani, not even to count Will Smith, who's one of the best two-way catchers in the game, you got a little bit more leeway.
Yeah, and we talk about this with the Cardinals. There are times where the Cardinals sign somebody and they have to come through based off the amount of money that they account for. This player has to be a player for this team or things are not going to work out. That's never a case with the Dodgers, ever. They can have any player. I mean, Shohei Ohtani could have missed the postseason, and they still may have won the World Series. Maybe, maybe not. That's a question. I mean, he certainly had an impact, but you get the point that I'm making. There are some teams where there's going to be a player or two that just have to perform, and then there's teams like the Dodgers that can really overcome just about anything.
Yeah, and look, one of the big things for the next calendar year. Because to me, the only downside, I don't think it's actually a downside, but it becomes one because of the life that it takes on online. But with the Dodgers winning, it sets off a lot of alarms with people that want to complain about salary caps and this is unfair. And look, I was going to ask you guys, I don't know that there's an easy answer to this, but they do have a chance in 1 year to address these kinds of things. Because the Dodgers aren't the only team that can do those things. But there may be one of 5 or 6 that can. The other ones choose not to, but they choose to do it. How can we do it in a way that's reasonable and realistic to keep it from being so lopsided in terms of strategies available? Because I don't think a cap is coming. I don't think it solves a damn thing unless you can get full revenue sharing. If you get full revenue sharing, well, then maybe more teams can stockpile and have more players around.
Yeah, but even with full revenue sharing like the NFL does, which is the one that everybody points out, which I understand. Oh, man, the NFL, just look at the salary cap. Look at that system. Well, the NFL's got less parity than Major League Baseball.
Yep, you're right.
It's the same 8 or 9 teams. It's like a pool of 8 or 9 teams. They're going to two of the 8 or 9 teams. 2 of those teams, I'm sorry, are going to wind up in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Baseball, despite what people think, is much more spread out than that.
Yeah, for a long time. I mean, Jason Stark did this, I think, a year ago, guys, and
he did it again this year too.
Yeah, he did it again this year, counting the NBA, the NHL, NFL, and none of the cap leagues have more playoff teams in the last 20 or 30 years, or a larger variety of champions. So I think maybe you're right, guys, Bernie, and I think that's maybe the way to go. Is this can be made better, but the system isn't as broken as the alarm bells would make it seem.
I've talked about this a lot, and the one thing I'd be really curious, if you could just make something happen and know what the results were going to be of it, I would be in favor of a higher tax penalty at the highest levels, and I would also be in favor of a floor when it comes to salary. But in addition to that floor, any money that you receive has to be in addition to the floor. So if the floor's $90 million and the Pirates receive $15 million in the revenue sharing, then they would have to spend 105. So that would directly take the money and put it right back to players. And I wonder if that would lift the bottom up just enough that it would change the dynamic across Major League Baseball. I don't know if it would or not, but that's something that I would be very interested to see if you forced these lower level teams that spend very little money to spend in the way that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I hear you for sure. And listen, guys, I'm going to contradict myself, not flip flop, because I'm just pointing out there is a side.
Yeah.
To what the people that are really upset about the Dodgers payroll, there's some stuff they can grab onto and put on the table, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not contradicting myself. I'm saying if you're looking for a reason to have a complaint and with some legitimacy, here's what it is. So the Dodgers have been in the postseason, 13 years in a row, and during that time, they've won 77 postseason games. That's 15 more than Houston, the next team on the list. But then if you look at, just in the National League, in the National League since 2013, the Dodgers have 77 postseason wins. The next team on the list, the Braves, has 25. That's a difference of like 52 wins. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So people that want to complain about the Dodgers spending, there's some stuff they can grab onto and put it out there because it makes you say, well, whoa, I didn't realize that type of thing.
Yeah, I think that to me the solution is multiple things, maybe being a little stricter at the top, but it is also like stopping teams like the Pirates from just pocketing money.
No
right?
doubt.
Like you got to have that. And also we need an international draft. I'm sorry, but like the big teams have an advantage with guys like Roki Sasaki or even the 16-year-olds out of the Dominican. Who do they all want to play for? They want to play for the Yankees. They want to play for the Dodgers.
Right.
And if they're always going to be able to get the top ones because the prestige is there or whatever, that's not helping. A Roki Sasaki in Kansas City would be pretty damn nice, but it's never going to happen under the current setup. So there are lots of other ways to make it more competitive without screaming cap, cap, cap.
Right. And I'll say this too. I'll throw this in, and I'm stating the obvious, but I do push back on people that would just have us believe that it's just because of the massive payroll why the Dodgers win. There's more to it than that. They're really, really, really smart. This roster management, load management thing is the latest example. And if it's all about, well, these teams that spent all this money, they're the only ones who have a chance. Steve Cohen and the Mets, that owner has spent nearly $1.5 billion over the last 5 years. What do they want? The Yankees have won. Yeah, the Yankees have won one World Series since the start of 2001.
Yep.
How many billions have they spent?
Lots of billions without championships for sure.
So let's avoid the simplistic stuff. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Complicated issue that we'll have a whole year to kick around.
Yeah.
That's Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you. We're going to shift more towards the Cardinals. Mason Wynn gets a Gold Glove, and he gave us an update today on his knee. We'll talk about that next on KMOX.
At Bank of America, we asked our people, how do you take ownership of your career?
I'm able to grow my way by putting the priorities that I have for my career first.
I thrive on being a leader who's behind the team, not in front of the team.
Every few years, I'm being re-energized because I get to do something different and learn something new.
See how our teammates are growing in their careers at bankofamerica.com/great place to work. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Staples presents An Easy Holiday.
Running a small business during the holidays is hard.
No truer words were...
But this year, Staples helped me have an easy holiday.
Your script has a typo.
Nope, easy peasy. I just ordered online at staples.com and picked up in store. And with UPS on site, shipping was easy too. Plus, huge savings on tech, custom cards, even my holiday sale signage.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com today for up to 45% off select laptops.
That was easy.
Ins 12/27.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments including pills, chews, and more. 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, hims.com/joy.
Traffic from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Well, we still got tough traffic downtown. This traffic reports a service in McKelvey Homes. The roadwork jams eastbound 64 from Route 3 over onto 5570 at Exchange, and westbound 64, the roadwork at 3rd Street has 64 jammed approaching Ball Avenue and 5570 at 203. Eastbound Musel Veterans Bridge is backed up from the Missouri side over to the Illinois side of the river. There's a crash downtown eastbound 64 on the Missouri side near 6th Street, just before, closer to 11th Street, I guess, but only the right lane is open. Eastbound 64 is a solid jam at Grand. Past that crash scene, they cleared the incident. We had southbound 55 at the Delore overpass, although it's still slow at Arsenal, but it's not jammed like it was. Westbound 64 out of the city, still bumper to bumper, Kings Highway to Clayton Skinker. It's really slow all the way to Hanley, slow Lindbergh to 270, west of Clarkson to Topgolf, west of K to Winghaven, and a couple spots, Lake St. Louis out to 70. Port Clarkson into 141 at the Interbelt, south 170 Bogs down at Ladue, south 270 Olive down through Doherty Ferry. After that, it's not so bad. And westbound 64, still a jam through 158 headed to Greenmount. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, Rush Hour Sports on KMOX. It's Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. We've got a lot of baseball today, maybe all baseball today, depending on how it goes in the final half hour. And it's the offseason now, so we're going to be all over everything that's happening with free agency, Cardinals trades, you name it. We'll be on top of it when it comes to the baseball offseason. And we should point out, too, that in addition to us, you got the Gas House Gang every day at noon as well. And Mason Wynn was on Gas House Gang today as a guest after winning the Gold Glove. And we'll talk a bit about that in a second. Just want to remind everybody, we got Billikens basketball tonight as well. So a nice short night for Matt. You got a little sports open line for, 45 minutes, right? And then we got Billikens at 6:45. So it's their first game of the regular season. We got that here on KMOX later on. But we got Mason Wynn with his first Gold Glove, the 100th Gold Glove in Cardinals history, which is the most for any franchise in baseball history. And I want to do we got to do two different angles on this today, guys. We got the Gold Glove itself, and we also got a health update from Mason Wynn today, both on Gas House and on his conference call. But, Bernie, you laid it out so well on DGS today when it comes to the significance of what Mason Wynn did in winning the Gold Glove and the age at which he did it.
Yeah, listen, all Gold Gloves are worth something, but some are, I think, more meaningful and kind of reach a higher level in terms of quality than others. And I really do believe that Mason Wynn's Gold Glove is one that I don't know how to put this without sounding like Fredbird, but he had one of the great defensive seasons by a shortstop in Major League Baseball history because listen, I'm not the biggest fan of fielding percentage, but it is one way to measure defense, right? So since the Gold Gloves were presented for the first time in 1957, there have been 1,149 shortstops that have played at least 1,000 innings in a season. So let's just round it off to 1,150. Mason Wynn's fielding percentage this year, 994, is the fourth best on that list of 1,150 shortstops. Now, he's tied with a couple of people, but he's basically fourth best. The only three Major League shortstops with 1,000-plus innings in a season since 1957 who turned in a higher fielding percentage than Mason Wynn were Baltimore's Mike Bordick back in the early aughts, Cal Ripken in 1990, Cleveland's Omar Vizquel in 2000. And one more stat from Stat Boy. Since 1957, Wynn is only one of 7 shortstops charged with making 3 errors or less in a season when playing a minimum of 1,000 innings.
That's insane.
This isn't just like, oh, isn't that great? He won a Gold Glove. Oh, he deserved it. He had one of the greatest defensive seasons we've seen in the history of this game at shortstop in 2025.
He said today, I thought that was really interesting because he talked about putting in the work and how important that is and how he would take ground balls every single day. And I'm sure some people listening to this go, well, of course, guys take ground balls every day. Nope, not in the big leagues. Guys take a lot of days off. And he said that there were only 3 days this year where he was playing where he did not take ground balls during pregame, and he committed an error on 2 of those 3 days.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
In Wheels, like we were talking about it really quick on DGS today. It's one thing to win a Gold Glove and everybody says, well, he's got the rocket arm, blah, blah, blah. No, he gets to a lot of balls. And so when you get to that many balls and you have the arm, I mean, no wonder you're capable of having one of the great defensive seasons in the history of the game by shortstop.
Yeah, that's why when you take it all into account, errors, fielding percentage, range factor, defensive runs saved, he wins on the old school and the new school. And that's hard to do because when you get to everything, you're more prone to make errors because you have more difficult plays.
Right.
And the fact that he only made 3 errors is just mind-numbing. But also today, Matt, he gave us an update on the knee and kind of what the surgery was and where he is now.
Yeah, so he said that they went in there and it actually was not as severe as they thought it was when they were looking at the imaging. So that was good news. It was an easy surgery. He was in physical therapy the day after his surgery. He's about 6 weeks out. I think he's 5 weeks right now. At 6 weeks, he's basically going to be able to do full baseball activities, and he's a month away from just being 100% full go, no limitations whatsoever. He's working out at Cressy's down in the Palm Beach area. A lot of guys work out there. Jordan Walker's doing some work there with him. He talked a lot about the fact that he's never been somebody who's really analyzed his swing and gets into the analytics of it and everything. And it's been good to be around people that can show him some things. I asked him about who else was down there with him, and there's a lot of people from the Cardinals that are there that are at Cressy's this offseason. So a lot of good, positive things coming from Mason Wynn today.
Awesome. Good to see the recognition.
Here's a question. Let me throw you guys a question because I talk too much. No question that Mason Wynn is a franchise caliber player, but what is his upside? And we're talking about his offense. What do you think his upside realistically is? Let me just say this. The last two seasons, despite all the grumbling about his offense from me included, he was only 2% below league average.
Yeah.
And with that kind of defense, I think most teams would take that trade-off. But what's his upside, guys?
Matt, you got one for 20 seconds?
270 hitter with 20 home runs.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I think a guy that can be 15 to 20% above average when he peaks. Because keep in mind, he's 23.
Right.
The peak isn't usually 26, 27, so we got a little bit of time to get to that. Great question. All right, we got more baseball coming up. We're going to talk a bit about the Hall of Fame, maybe some offseason stuff with guys opting out and free agency. Not here, but certainly guys declaring free agency. We'll have more baseball for you coming up on Rush Hour Sports.
Wake up informed. Wake up empowered. Wake up to Total Information AM, your morning must.
Hi, this is Debbie Monterey. I'm Megan Lynch.
This is Tom Ackerman.
From local news to breaking headlines to weather, traffic, and the stories that matter most, we've got you covered before your first sip of coffee. Expert analysis, bright perspectives from the people you trust. Total Information AM, your day starts here. Mornings beginning at 5 on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
You could think you found your dream home online. The kitchen island looks perfect for your inner chef. The backyard, a paradise for your green thumb. And that extra room, hello walk-in closet. But here's the twist. The lot next door just got rezoned for years of construction. And this sound, yeah, you're going to be hearing a lot of that. Don't let your dream home turn into a nightmare. Work with the expertise and ethical training of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect you from the surprises you didn't see coming. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors, right by you.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay, things people love.
Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you can find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
At 5:30, this news update is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. It's a clear sky, Dark sky, 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. Election day is tomorrow in a number of places. A number of tight races are up for grabs. Correspondent Nicole Killian.
The countdown is on as the race for Virginia governor hits overdrive in this final stretch. Democratic candidate Abigail Spanberger is spending the day canvassing, including here at Virginia Commonwealth University. Earlier this morning, she was joined by several members of Congress, including Michigan Senator Alyssa Slotkin. Over the weekend, President Barack Obama campaigned with Spanberger, praising her record and encouraging voters not to sit this one out.
A young daughter of the Staunton, Illinois restaurant owner detained by ICE last week spoke at a community rally Sunday in Macoupin County. Here's part of what Amy had to say.
My dad, he's a great person and he should not be in that terrible place.
A big crowd took part in the event to show support for 41-year-old Ismael Sandoval and his family. ICE released a statement saying Sandoval was being held because he had illegally crossed the border with Mexico several times almost 20 years ago. ICE also said he had a DUI conviction in St. Clair County in 2008. Supporters are trying to prevent Sandoval from being deported. This is a gut-wrenching decision.
With the disruption of SNAP benefits for tens of millions of Americans, animal shelters are seeing an increase in calls from SNAP recipients, fearing they may have to give up their pets because of finances.
It's just another economic difficulty facing our community, and all those economic difficulties do take an effect on pet ownership and whether or not people are able to give proper care and to their pets and whether or not they have to give them up.
Amber Pindon is with Winnebago County Animal Services in Rockford, Illinois. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
Jury selection began today in the trial of the D.C. sandwich guy.
A video went viral in August showing Sean Dunn calling federal agents racists and fascists before throwing a salami sandwich at one of them. He faces a misdemeanor assault charge after a grand jury refused to indict him on more serious counts. His lawyers claim the case is selective and vindictive prosecution, arguing he was singled out for speaking out against the administration's deployment of National Guard troops in the nation's capital. Stacey Lynn, CBS News, Washington.
Changes in funding, demographics, and the artificial intelligence revolution may force a reimagining of what higher education looks like. John Shaw, director of the Paul Simon Public Policy Institute at SIU Carbondale, tells KMOX the state contribution has declined by 40%.
When you look at, say, 2000 to where we are now, there's been this stunning reversal in just how universities are financed. I mean, it used to be that the state was a really big funder of universities, and now it's increasingly on students in terms of tuition and fees.
At the same time, Shaw points out there'll be fewer 18-year-olds in the population to enter colleges and universities. The Institute is co-sponsoring a forum on the future of higher ed this week. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, for tonight, a clear sky and cold, low 42. For tomorrow, it warms up, the sun comes out, high 71. For tomorrow night, a little bit warmer, 55. For Wednesday, sunshine, the high 73. Right now, it is a clear and a dark sky. It's 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
The legendary Fast Eddie of Fast Eddie's Bon Air and Redbirds Hall of Famer Jason Isringhausen.
Hey, Izzy, what's going on, man? Looks kind of like you got something on your mind.
Okay,
well,
thanks.
Eddie boy, I'm thinking you may need to change the name of your place from Fast Eddie's to $5 Eddie's. $5 Eddie? Man, why in the world would I call it $5 Eddie? Well, I was in there the other day and bought myself the coldest beer I've ever had in my life, and I gave the guy $5. And then I went over and got some of those huge cold water peel and eat shrimps, and I gave her $5. Well, I never really thought about that. There's a lot of $5 going on in there. And then I went back up and got one of those huge Fast Eddie cheeseburgers, and I gave them $5 again. Man, definitely has a ring to it. I think there's a lot of $5 going on. Yeah, and I had about $100 worth of good time. Well, that's good to hear, and it's easy to do with live music 7 days a week and a big old party going on that big, beautiful outdoor patio. Well, like Mr. Shannon always says, if you're 21 and in the mood, head on over to Fast Eddie's Bon Air in Alton, Illinois, and maybe take a selfie on that old Harley Davidson of mine. Who else has got a Cardinal Hall of Famer's Harley Davidson sitting out on the patio for some selfies? Only Eddie boy.
Hey, Bernie Miklasz here. Very proud to tell you about Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer that has been taking care of St. Louis families continuously since 1927. Family owned and operated for nearly 100 years, Saliga offers free estimates and financing options, still has the best and most trustworthy customer service in St. Louis. Now listen, I can speak to you as a loyal Saliga Heating and Cooling client. They've been taking care of us, great care of us for 17 years. And we rely on them. And it's really nice to know that help is on the way when Saliga is the help on the way. because they set the standard for honesty, knowledge, professionalism, reliability, prompt service. They never start with, well, we have to do this, like the most expensive thing. They actually start with the least expensive solution, and they work their way up until they solve the problem. We trust them 100%. They're just the best. And again, I think I know because I've been dealing with Saliga for such a long time. They also have a priority club. It's a maintenance plan. It's going to save you money by extending the life of your current equipment. You'll save money that way too. I tell you what, straight A's across the board. It's SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been asked many times how Morgan & Morgan became the largest injury firm in the world. I think I know. When someone comes to us for an on-the-job injury, we have a huge workers' compensation practice. But many times we find a defective product that was responsible for that injury. Luckily for them, we have a product liability section headed by my son, Mike. In addition to the comp case, there is a product case too. Other times, the injured worker is fired or harassed for bringing that claim. We have them covered. Our employment lawyers handle retaliation claims as well as wage theft and discrimination cases, and in some cases need to file for Social Security benefits. No problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Rush Hour Sports on a Monday night. Matt Pauley, Bernie Miklasz, Kevin Wheeler hanging out here. You got Sports Open Line after this from 6 until about 6:45, and then we turn it over to Rammer and Earl. Man, we got basketball tonight.
All right.
Billikens basketball. They're taking on SEMO tonight. Billikens favored by, I think, is 19.5 coming into the evening, if you're interested in such things in the very beginning of college basketball. But obviously going to be an interesting year for the Bills, and we can talk more about that as we get a little deeper into the regular season. Guys, I'm going to lay this out. We've talked a lot about the steroid era in the Hall of Fame. Well, the 2026 contemporary baseball era ballot was announced today. And it's got Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and a whole bunch of other guys, too. Bonds, Clemens. And I want to be clear that those are the only two that I think we knowingly have linked to PEDs. I don't remember if Gary Sheffield was linked officially or if it was just rumored or talked about, or just because he was in that era and people just assumed. But Sheffield's on there, Carlos Delgado, Jeff Kent, Fernando Valenzuela, Dale Murphy, Don Mattingly. A lot of guys with really compelling cases there, but, everybody's going to be talking about Bonds and Clemens.
Yeah, and the thing that gives me pause about talking about this is I don't want to go into politics. I just don't.
Yeah,
when it comes to sports, I just want to be neutral. I don't want to shade it one way or the other. But we all know, I'll just say this, we all know that the President of the United States has campaigned for Roger Clemens to get in now, as he said. And we'll see if that has any influence. That's all I'll say. We'll just see if any of the voters will take that seriously or maybe strongly give more consideration to Clemens because of the endorsement. But then that would also lead to this. Then why wouldn't Barry Bonds get the same treatment? I mean,
same case, yeah.
If they're both roids guys, as the Mitchell report stated, I hate the fact that baseball, it comes down to this kind of stuff, this constant wrangling over the Hall of Fame and all the people clutching their pearls, making moral judgments. I mean, it's just, it's a turnoff. It's really a turnoff.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, we're going to pick up the conversation here in a second. One last check, well, at least in the middle of our show, one other check of traffic, see what's going on in and around downtown St. Louis on a Monday with Captain Roger Brand.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we still got some tough traffic out there, Kevin. This traffic report service of the Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm. They're working an injury crash northbound 270 at the Clayton Road overpass. The left lanes are shut down. Traffic's jammed at Doherty Ferry. Southbound from Olive down through that area toward Doherty Ferry is busy. We had an earlier southbound crash at Doherty Ferry. They cleared that. They cleared the crash downtown, eastbound 64, east of 11th Street. Still a jam back pretty close to Grand, though. And if you're on the Illinois side, we still have the roadwork backups. Eastbound 64, jam from Route 3 on to 5570. Westbound 5570, jam 203 to 3rd Street on 64. Again, roadwork both directions there. If you're on westbound 64, Kings Highway, headed out through Big Bend is heavy. There's slow stuff 94 midway out to Winghaven. A westbound 70 at David Hochul Parkway. Looks like we have a roadwork jam going on there. Westbound 70, slow stuff at the city limits. After that, it's not so bad. Southbound 55 is cleared out. Westbound 64, still a brief backup through 158. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
Back to baseball and Rush Hour Sports. Matt, you have a take on those guys as we just discussed?
Yeah, actually, specifically to what Bernie just said, and also I don't want to go down the political path too much, but it's not. This is not just like the sports writers that are voting for this.
No, this will be a committee, right?
Right. This is the committee, but I can say pretty confidently that if it was just the sports writers, those guys are not going to be bullied by the president of the United States voting, putting in their word for somebody. If anything, that collective group might be turned off by it more than anything else. To Bernie's point, I don't know how that committee is going to react to it. It's a little bit different. But of all the sports out there, I do have to wonder, it seems like people in baseball stand up for their morals, for lack of a better term, more so than anywhere else. There are people who are very much morally opposed to the idea of a Barry Bonds or a Roger Clemens being in the Hall of Fame, and they're going to stand up to that.
Yeah, so for people that aren't aware of who makes up the committees, there will be some Hall of Fame players on this committee. There will be former executives. There will be baseball historians, and maybe still a couple of writers on there too, right? So it's going to be a mix of people, and I think that, the former players are probably the biggest obstacle, I would think, because they've been very vocal historically about that era.
Well, that's right. And it's going to be, it's a pretty high threshold to clear.
Yeah,
you got to get a lot of votes, 75% of that committee. And that's how Ken Boyer, has lost out a couple times by a couple of votes. It's a tough process. I think if I had to guess, and that's all this is, I would think it'd be tough for both of them because I just think there'll be so much division among the people on that panel.
Good point.
Yep. It's just going to be hard to get a strong consensus one way or the other.
Yeah.
And there's some worthy candidates there. There's some people, right? Dale Murphy, Don Mattingly, Gary Sheffield. I have to take a closer look at Delgado. I don't know how you guys feel about Jeff Kent, but Jeff Kent's offensive numbers among second basemen in Major League history, I mean, he's like a top 8 player. And I think there's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 guys ahead of him offensively all time among second basemen that are already in the Hall of Fame. And like his numbers can hang with their numbers. So I'm kind of a Jeff Kent guy on this.
I'm with you on that. I think Kent was I think it was criminal that he didn't get closer in the regular process. When you look at who he compares to, I mean, his offensive numbers for a second baseman compared to like Dave Parker and Jim Rice, he's very similar to Ryne Sandberg in a lot of ways, and Sandberg was a no-brainer for the writers. So I agree on Kent. I actually think Delgado is one of the most criminally underrated players of modern times because of what the steroid guys were doing, right? I I mean, this guy hit 473 home runs. He drove in 100 runs like 11, 12 times. He was 40% above average, and his closest comps are Hall of Fame guys. I mean, his closest comps are guys like Willie Stargell and Bagwell and McGriff and Willie McCovey and guys like that. So with no tinge of any PEDs or anything, there were a lot of guys, unfortunately, that got overlooked because their numbers don't look like Bonds and Sosa numbers, but they were still 35, 40 home runs a year.
Right. No, I always thought he was tremendous, but I'm just admitting I never actually did a study of his numbers, but I will. But Jeff Kent, man, he's got more RBIs than any second baseman ever played the game. You know, and if you look at wins, weighted runs created plus, high, he's 23% above average. That's better than Biggio. That's better than Roberto Alomar. That's better than Sandberg. That's better than some other guys, some other Hall of Famers and future Hall of Famers on the list. If you judge him based, you can't compare him to slugging first basemen and outfielders. But if you judge him by where he stands all time at his position, he's a Hall of Famer.
Agreed. 100%.
Obviously this isn't the question here, but if I had to choose between either all of these guys being in or none of these guys being in, I'd go all. Like, you can make compelling cases for every single one of these players. And some of them, you look at them and you just go, how in the world are they not in? It is incredible the level of player that is still out there that has been passed up on by the writers and just the whole process that is getting into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think the only knocks on Mattingly and Valenzuela are the number of years they were at their peak. But we know injuries came into that, but they both had about a 5-year window where they were elite, where most Hall of Famers, it's closer to 10. But still, they're that caliber of player. And Dale Murphy was just a different dude, man. I mean, I know it's a different era, so his numbers don't look exactly like the steroid era numbers or even the numbers now.
Right.
What he was as an all-around player, elite outfielder. I mean, 35 home runs in the early 80s was a lot. He was an MVP twice with 35, 36 homers.
Yeah, back to back. And then he got MVP votes. And let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he won 2 MVPs and he got MVP votes 5 times. And again, he was a catcher. He was an outfielder. He would do anything you need him to do. I mean, he was a really strong defensive player as well.
Great base runner too.
Exactly. And I used to vote for him, when he was still on the ballot. I voted for him every year. I think just a great all-around player.
That's Bernie Miklasz and Matt Pauley and Kevin Wheeler here hanging out on Rush Hour Sports. We got one little quick segment, then we're going to go to Sports Open Line after the 6 o'clock news on KMOX.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-908-8646 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-908-8646. That's 800-908-8646. What do you have to lose? Call 800-908-8646. Again, 800-908-8646.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Call 877-WINDOWS. That's 877-WINDOWS. Or head to rbastl.com.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
For 100 years, KMOX has been part of St. Louis. Now, Together Credit Union is helping celebrate that legacy. Starting in November, visit any Together Credit Union branch to pick up a KMOX 100th Anniversary commemorative ornament for just $5 while supplies last. Each ornament supports Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis. Together Credit Union. honoring 100 years of KMOX, the voice of St. Louis, and Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis, improving the health of all children.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, if you're coming downtown for the Blues and the Oilers tonight, got a couple of eastbound crashes. Eastbound 64 west of Timberlake, there's a crash, right lane block. Traffic seems to be getting by it okay. It's slow from McKnight to Big Bend, and then there's a crash right before the Vandeventer exit in the right lane, so there's a little bit of a jam up from Kings Highway to that point. Downtown, it's just kind of slow past Union Station in the ballpark from an earlier crash. We still have our jams on the Illinois side, eastbound 64 from the Poplar over onto 5570. 64 westbound jams at Baugh, 5570 at 203 over to 3rd Street because the road work, again, both directions there. If you're on westbound 64, Kings Highway out through McCausland's bumper to bumper, there's still a slowdown approaching Winghaven. North 270 still backed up Doherty Ferry through Manchester. They did clear that crash at the Clayton Road overpass. South 270, a little busy approaching Ladue and approaching Manchester. After that, you're in the clear. And westbound 64, just a little delay at 158. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, Rush Hour Sports. Wrapping up in a few minutes. Sports Open Line from 6 till 6:45. Anything you want to tease, Matt?
We'll talk some more baseball. We'll preview the Billikens game tonight a little bit, and we'll talk Blues hockey. We'll hear some of what Jim Montgomery had to say earlier today as the Blues try to find themselves out of this funk that they're in right now, where they played better the last couple games, but not good enough to win.
Yeah, that's I didn't plan this, but we can spend our last couple minutes on that. It's because it's all it deserves at this point. When we're talking about moral victories, like, we didn't win, but we played better. All right, guys, come on. You're not playing 14U hockey. Win some games. Figure it out. It's not. I mean, we all expect them to be better. I don't think they suck this bad. I think they're going to be better as we go. But you can't do this every year. This is 4 straight years with a garbage start. Something's wrong.
No, I don't have. I'm a little thin on top here. I still have hair, but I'd like to pull some of that out. So anyway.
The only thing I would push back on that, Kevin, I think there is value in looking at the advanced data that comes out of games. If you're getting high, a lot of high probability scoring chances and things like that, and then say, well, if we keep doing this, the goals are going to come. We're going to start finding some wins. There is value in that, but the classic no depth to it. Oh, it looked better, but we didn't win. No, that's not a.
I agree. There's value in that, and there's value in, like we talk about in baseball, right? Like batted ball numbers or pitch characteristics. Fielding independent ERA versus ERA. I completely agree. You'll never get an argument from me on that. But the only thing that is going to be measured is your won-loss record, and as a team, that's the only thing that matters. As individuals, those other things can give us an idea, but there are too many individuals making too many mistakes.
That's right.
Way too many mistakes.
And I hate to be boring, but it's like the old saying, which is true, man. Your best players got to be your best players. That's not happening with the Blues. They're not even close.
No.
And every day when we listen to Montgomery speak, we're talking about like today was Nick Bukestad, who we're talking about. Fine, that's great. I'm glad that he's acclimating and having a nice season and he's contributing. But no, he can't be the guy that you're talking about in press conferences.
No, and look, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I feel like yes, they're gonna play better, but you're in such a big hole that you got to go on a crazy run just to be in the mix for the 8th spot now. You got to play stupid great hockey for the next 65 games to even have a chance at squeaking in, just like last year.
Well, they've done it in the past, but see, that's another thing to Matt Pauley's earlier point. I'm sorry. It's kind of the same thing. I get tired of hearing that because the thing of it is, it's like we know they've done it in the past and no one has to tell us. But you can't keep banking on that, like doing that over and over and over again. That's just not realistic, right?
Exactly.
I know we have just a moment left. I would push back pretty hard on that, though, Kevin, because they're last in the NHL with 8 points. The final team in a Western Conference playoff spot right now has 14 points.
Yeah.
So they're 6. They don't have to go on a crazy run to make up 6 points.
Well, they do because the other teams aren't going to go on this kind of crazy bad run.
But if you just
you're
play better
outplaying
hockey,
the norm.
you got a lot of time to slowly knock that down. I am not worried about a 6-point deficit on November 3rd.
Okay. Good.
I'm not. I'm actually with Pauley Wheeler. Sorry.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm just saying at some point you got to get your ass in gear.
Well,
Quick digging a hole and saying we're going to play 620 hockey the rest of the way to just get the 8th spot. Because that's nonsense.
Both things can be true.
You're right. That's a good point. That is the correct way to lock this one out. You're right. Both of those things are true. Good job, Bernie. Good job, Matt.
All right, brothers.
Matt, have a great show. You guys will have another one of these on Friday night. We got Sports Open Line and then Billikens basketball coming up on KMOX.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855.
Your family's face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Nobody had to tell your grandparents not to drive while using their typewriters. Why should it be any different for us kids and our cell phones? Distracted driving was the cause of more than 3,000 deaths in 2022. Come on, we're smarter than this. Let's put down the phones and focus on the roads. Drive safe, everybody.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
This month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, we are discussing breast cancer with Dr. Debbie Bennett.
It's a great reminder to take care of yourself. I think people are so busy throughout the year taking care of everybody else. Seeing all the pink around in October is a really excellent time to take a step back and make sure that you are here to continue taking care of everybody else for a very long time.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
Red Kingdom is back at FanDuel Sports Network Live in Ballpark Village. See every game on the largest screen in town. Don't forget about the $25 buckets, $5 cocktails, and the best tailgate food around. Grab your friends along with KMOX and huddle up for the games at the best watch party in town. If you can't make it, but don't want to miss a down, listen to the Chiefs on KMOX or KMOX on the Odyssey app. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, seeing a little bit of a backup now. Again, if you're coming in for the Blues and Oilers tonight, you got a couple of eastbound incidents. We have this crash, eastbound 64, just west of Timberlake. Right lanes are blocked, so traffic's backed up at Clarkson Road to that one. It's backed up briefly at the Interbelt, and then a little bit of a delay again. It's not a jam, but it's a slowdown east of Kings Highway and toward Vanaventer. Right lane's blocked by the crash there. After that, it's cleared out at the downtown exits. Now, on the Illinois side, you still got issues. East and westbound, they're doing road work both ways. Eastbound, the 5570 at between 64 and 203, there's lane restrictions, so 64 eastbound is jammed at Route 3, and westbound 64 at 3rd Street. They have the left lanes closed for road work, and it's jamming westbound 64 west of 25th Street, and 5570 is stacked up at 203. 270 still busy right around Clayton Road from an earlier wreck. From the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood, the voice of St. Louis.
Shut down air travel snarled.
You know, it's just what can you do about it? We're just in a spot where we have to wait.
is dumping on election eve.
Voters will choose new governors in 2 of the 4 states holding elections.
A 3-time Oscar nominee has died.
If you even think about seeing Lula, you're dead.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Jennifer Kuiper. Day 34 of the government shutdown, and the lines spilled outside of the Houston airport this morning due to short staffing and long TSA lines.
Well, I really appreciate the people that are here today. Otherwise, no one would be getting through.
I've been here for 4 hours. My feet hurt, my legs hurt, my back hurts. I'm very tired.
There are over 2,800 total delays and over 75 cancellations within, into, or out of the U.S. today, according to FlightAware. The Trump administration has committed to partially fund SNAP during the government shutdown. CBS's Stacey Lynn.
The USDA will comply with the court order that says it must use emergency funding to continue paying SNAP recipients reduced benefits. But it says it likely won't be quick, blaming bureaucracy and old systems for the potential delay in payments nationwide. Since every state is different, a top USDA official told a federal judge it could take a few weeks to up to several months.
Tomorrow is Election Day, with some races getting a lot of attention, seen as possible bellwethers for next year's midterms. In New Jersey's race for governor, Democrat Mikey Sherrill is being endorsed by former President Obama, while Republican Jack Ciattarelli is trying to distance himself from President Trump's policies.
Donald Trump has nothing to do with our property taxes, nothing to do with our monthly electric bills, public safety, public education, overdevelopment.
Virginia is set to have its first female governor. Democrat Abigail Spanberger tells voters,
in Virginia, we need a governor who will stand up against the chaos and endeavor to create stability, steadiness, and job growth here on the ground.
Republican Virginia Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears says Spanberger is wrong for Virginia. In New York City's race for mayor, Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani is leading in polls against Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa and former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who's running as an independent. Former President Obama has praised Mamdani's campaign, but stopped short of endorsing him. CBS's Hunter Woodall.
Some Democrats who are actively backing former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. At the same time, you have progressive icons like Senator Bernie Sanders, like Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who are vocally supporting Mamdani and really showing how much tension there is between the progressive left and the center in today's Democratic Party.
A North suburban Chicago man has been arrested for allegedly making a threat to kill President Trump. 57-year-old Trent Schneider of Winthrop Harbor, Illinois, has been ordered to remain detained in federal custody pending a detention hearing on Thursday. Now this.
The annual Progressive Keys to Progress program provides vehicles to deserving veterans, helping our heroes drive their lives forward. Learn more at keystoprogress.com.
At 6:03, it's a clear sky. The sun has set. It's 55 degrees downtown at the Arch. A police pursuit of a stolen vehicle ended with a violent crash.
The mangled remains of a stolen vehicle being pulled from Bin Chop Suey after leading police on a pursuit, continuing to drive away from them after being spike stripped and eventually crashing into the building. Right next door is a St. Louis City firehouse, and Fire Captain Andrew Hesse was inside and describes the sound of the accident.
Almost like a building collapse, like a building coming down, because that's basically what happened on that Delta side wall. All the bricks are all collapsed.
There was only one occupant of the vehicle, the driver, who was transported from the scene. In the building that was crashed into, the only injury was to someone in the kitchen, and that was because they got cooking oil splashed on them. In Baden, Sean Malone, KMOX News.
A St. Peter's woman will spend 5 years in federal prison for setting a fire in Puerto Rico last January. 37-year-old Danielle Bertozzi was sentenced after pleading guilty to arson. She admitted to starting a fire outside of a bar that had kicked her out twice for being belligerent. The fire caused serious damage to 4 businesses and forced the evacuation of 40 hotel guests, though nobody was injured. The 5-year sentence was the minimum under federal law. A local effort to support families affected by the uncertainty of SNAP and WIC benefits is happening tomorrow.
Betty Jean Kerr's People's Health Centers is partnering with the Integrated Health Network to provide immediate relief. Taco's food truck will be at the People's Health Center, 5701 Delmar, from 11 until 2, offering 100 free meals. Dr. Ronald Griffin is COO of the clinic.
We're trying to do everything that we can to make sure that we meet the stop gaps. If we can help people for one day, we're doing our due diligence and providing some ongoing resources and support to those in need.
There are 4 other federally qualified health centers, Care STL, Family Health Centers, Affinia, and the county and city in St. Louis, and County Public Health has clinics. Dr. Griffin says while we cannot control what happens in D.C., you can control what happens in your cities. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
A groundbreaking ceremony tomorrow afternoon to celebrate the start of construction on the new St. Luke's Medical Building in St. Peter's. KMOX Health Editor Fred Bottomer.
The new facility will expand outpatient services, specialty care, and modern amenities to better serve patients closer to their home. The future site is located east of the intersection of Spencer and Mexico Roads, adjacent to McDonald's and Menards in St. Peter's. St. Luke's officials say this new building marks an important milestone in expanding access to high-quality, patient-centered health care in St. Charles County. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is drawing criticism for his use of a four-letter word directed at President Trump. It was during an appearance at last month's Illinois Federation of Teachers Convention. Here's the clip.
They want to criminalize educators for supporting LGBTQ students. They want to turn classrooms into cultural war battlegrounds. And I'm sorry to be vulgar, but Donald Trump and his cronies can all the way off.
Pritzker told our Chicago station that he has no plans to apologize. A suspect is arrested after multiple people were stabbed last night in Urbana, home to the University of Illinois. Carolina Garibay has more.
Urbana police say 18-year-old Samuel Garcia of Arcola, Illinois, was arrested for attempted murder after he stabbed 4 people during a large fight. Police say it happened around 5:45 p.m. near Hunter Street and Learman Avenue. The 4 victims were hospitalized with injuries ranging from minor to life-threatening. Garcia fled the scene after the stabbing, but police eventually located his vehicle and identified Garcia as the suspect involved in the incident. An investigation is underway.
And let's get you to Roger Brand now. Find out how the roads are looking. Roger.
Unfortunately, Michael, this traffic reports a service of the Pauley Agency. In fact, they're dispatching EMS right now for a crash southbound 170 at the Frost overpass, south of 270. A short jam there, but it's going to get worse once the emergency crews show up and they block lanes. If you're coming in for the Blues and the Oilers, still have this crash eastbound 64 before Timberlake. Right lane's blocked. It's backed up at Clarkson. It's still heavy briefly through the inner belt, and there's still a little bit of a slowdown east of Kings Highway through Vandeventer. Crash there being wrapped up that's in the right lanes. South 170 is on the brakes at the Parkway, by the way. Westbound 64 is good, just a little slow approaching Ballas. North 270 through 64 is a little busy. And then, of course, we have this jam on the Illinois side. Roadwork restrictions both ways. Eastbound 5570 east of 64 has 64 jammed back to Route 3, and westbound 64 at 3rd Street. Those left lanes are closed. 64 is jammed at 25th Street, and 5570 is jammed just west of 203 because of it. And that stuff will be out there for the next several days, unfortunately, around the clock. Hey, St. Louis, how would you like to see if you, your family, or employees qualify for a health insurance plan that has open enrollment year-round? Call the Pauley Agency. We put the sure in insurance. Call to set an appointment at 636-222-2149. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Delightful temperatures in play on this Monday, but it's going to cool off quickly with that time change in the early setting sun. So we're clear skies. Have to call it cold. We will drop into the 50s very quickly this evening and well into the 50s by later on tonight, and 42 for kind of a cold overnight low. Tuesday, partly to mostly sunny skies. Let's get it a little bit warmer. 71 degrees, a good 10 degrees above average. Tuesday night, partly cloudy, warm for overnight compared to where we've been, 55. Wednesday, sunny and nice, 73 degrees. Thursday, sunny and 69. We have a pretty good cold blast coming in. It will start to transform over the weekend. 61 for the high on Saturday, 51 for the high on Sunday, with a hard freeze on tap for everybody come late Sunday night into Monday morning. So let's plan ahead. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
It is a clear sky, dark out there, 55 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Here we go on a Monday night. Welcome in. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. I have you for just a few minutes tonight. I'll have you for another 35 minutes, taking you till 6:45 this evening. That's when we get out of here for St. Louis University Billikens basketball. College basketball season, it has officially arrived. Some games have already been taking place throughout the course of today. Busy night in college basketball. SLU's in action, Mizzou's in action, Illinois is in action. We could go down the list of all the teams in the region that are opening up their season tonight, and there's a bunch of them. Other teams over the next couple days will get their seasons going. But good to finally have college hoops to be able to talk about, and we'll be able to listen to it tonight as Rammer and Earl, Bob Ramsey, Earl Austin Jr., they will be on the call. It is great to be able to welcome those two guys back to KMOX on a couple times a week basis for Billiken basketball. So we've got that again. Coverage begins at 6:45. Matthew Rocchio is going to join us in about 10 minutes or so. We'll talk with him. He covers the Billikens for STL Sports Central. He's part of the team here at KMOX, but also does some Billikens coverage for STL Sports Central. So we'll talk with him. Might mention City for just a moment if we have time with him, because City today did announce their new sporting director. I'll be honest and blunt with you here. I tend to be honest with you. That's one of my things that I always try to do. We don't have enough time to get into everything today because there's a lot going on. Blues are playing tonight, all this college basketball, City hiring a sporting director, tons and tons and tons and tons of baseball news. We will be talking about this throughout the week. We'll have full shows this week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and I believe Friday. I think Monday and Thursday are only short shows this week. So over the next couple of days when we have our full 2 hours, we'll definitely dive more into some of the things that we aren't able to totally get into. Like the City thing with the sporting director, I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew much about this guy. Some of the things that are being written about him seem promising, but it's a huge hire for this organization moving forward. So we'll try to give the attention that it deserves over the next couple days. But that's a huge hire. That is a huge hire for them, and I'm not trying to gloss over it by any stretch of the mind. There's just a whole bunch of other things going on. I want to lead with this, and we talked about it a lot during Rush Hour Sports, but I thought what we heard today from Mason Wynn was important. And Wynn was a guest here on KMOX during the Gas House Gang. You can go back and listen to that interview again by just finding the Gas House Gang podcast, wherever you find your podcast. If you want to watch the interview, he did do it on video, so you can watch the interview if you just head to YouTube and do a search for KMOX Sports and go back and find today's Gas House Gang that Tom and Ron were hosting. You'll see that conversation they had. And then a little while after he was done on Gas House Gang, he held a more formal media session via Zoom with the assembled media. I was on that today. And look, it's a really cool thing that he's the Gold Glove winner, that he just had a historically fantastic season defensively at shortstop, that the voters recognize that he didn't get dinged for missing some games at the end of the season and even missing some games during the season. That it felt like the only thing that was going to hold him back was if voters voted against him because of the games that he missed. I'm glad they did not. His numbers held up in a very, very big way. A lot of people thought that Mookie Betts was going to be the guy. In fact, I believe even John Smoltz on one of the World Series broadcasts said, well, here's a guy who's going to win a Gold Glove here in a few days. And he didn't quite get that one right, but it was really good to see. Wynn deserves it, and it's the 100th Gold Glove in the history of the Cardinals organization. Number one in all of baseball. The Cardinals have won more Gold Gloves than any other organization, and just kind of a cool thing, he changed his glove manufacturer this year. He had always used, Wilson gloves. He revealed that today during the Gas House Gang. I believe it was during Gas House Gang when he said this. And he went to a Rawlings glove this year. Good move. Went to the Rawlings glove. Gets the Rawlings Gold Glove here at the end of the year. The more, and I say more important, just more important in terms of the Cardinals from a big picture standpoint. From a health standpoint, doing good. He is in good shape. He was in PT the day after his surgery when they went in there. The situation was not as bad as they thought it might be. He's already doing some light jogging and some other things. He's doing some work down at Cressy's, which is a baseball training facility in the Palm Beach area down in Florida. A lot of good things that we heard from Mason Wynn today, and I was really happy. And, if things are going poorly, you're probably not going to hear that during the offseason. Wynn's probably not going to go do media today and talk about the things that aren't quite going right. But everything he said seemed genuine, and the fact that some of this work that he's doing this offseason, he has an eye on being an even better hitter, is just I think it's a good thing. So he's somebody who I don't think he has reached his ceiling yet. We got a message from one of our viewers during Rush Hour Sports saying that Wynn had already reached the ceiling, and I don't see that. And I don't know what anybody would see that would make you think that, because most ball players who have long careers, and I'm pretty sure Mason Wynn's going to have a long career, no matter how good of an offensive player he is. He looks like somebody who's going to have a nice long major league career. Most of these guys don't touch their ceiling until 26, 27, 28, somewhere in there. And he is significantly younger than that. And just his profile as a hitter, he's got the ability to drive the ball. He's got the ability to put the ball over the wall a little bit more often than we've seen him do it. And if he does that and continues to be the defensive player that he has been, this is somebody who – there are very few players that I think you look at on this Cardinals team and say you build around him. And you're not building around Wynn for who he is offensively. Even if that profile plays out like I just said, that's not who you're building around. But from a defensive standpoint and somebody that you can really trust and rely on, he can be a part of this core moving forward. And that's part of the goal here, as quickly as possible, figuring out which players you want to see remain Cardinals and which players is it time to cut bait on. And I've said this before, I'll say it again, especially early on here in Chaim Bloom's tenure as the president of baseball operations. If there are guys that just don't fit the long-term plan for this team and you have to move on from them and the return isn't going to be that much, I'm okay with that. We'll take a break. When we return, we're going to talk Billikens basketball. They open up their season tonight. You'll hear it right here on KMOX. Matthew Rocchio, who covers the Billikens, joins us in just a moment. This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
At Gray Bar, we know your time is money. That's why our services go beyond parts and products. With kitting, pre-assembly, wire carts, and Gray Bar smart reels that keep you moving. We stage materials and manage logistics so you can spend less time sorting and more time installing. And with locations nationwide, we deliver when and where you need it, working to make your job easier every step of the way. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Attention business owners with a net income over $500,000. You need to work with a tax strategist that understands your entrepreneurial mindset. Download the most recent white paper written by E3 Consultants Group titled The Power of a Professional Tax Strategy Team. Go to e3wealth.com/radio to obtain a copy. It's time to learn about wealth and tax strategies that protect your personal and business economy. E3 is ready to help you think differently about your finances. Educate, empower, enlighten. That's the E3 difference.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/life.
Now that we're getting older, we've been putting more thought into maintaining our health.
We knew the water we drink every day could be filled with contaminants, so
We called Leaf Home Water Solutions.
they came to our home and did a free water test and gave us the analysis right away.
We were shocked at what we saw.
They found heavy metals like iron and copper.
Our own tap water was putting our health at risk, but Leaf Home Water Solutions made it easy to get safer water from every tap and hose. A whole home solution.
They have more than 250 product combinations and designed a system that fits our needs and budget. The installation took less than a day.
With Leaf Home Water Solutions, our water is safer and healthier. When we drink, when we cook, when we shower, even when we garden.
We feel better about our health.
Thanks to Leaf Home Water Solutions.
Schedule your free home water test today at leafhome.com/free and save 15% on all home water treatment systems. That's leafhome.com/free for your free home water test and 15% off. leafhome.com/free.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley for i3 Broadband, the internet provider in the Pauley household. I think you'd love it if you had them as well. We've got the 2 gig package at our home. 2 gig upload, 2 gig download mirrored, and we're spending less money than we did with the cable company for lesser service. Plus, right now, they've got savings over $400 beyond their already low standard pricing. You got questions? They've got answers. Call 877-976-0711, and they've got people there who can answer all your questions, or head to their website, i3broadband.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
The voice of St. Louis is turning 100.
KMOX Radio in St. Louis.
Join us as we celebrate all the legendary voices.
This is KMOX.
This is KMOX. KMOX. The voice of St. Louis.
Groundbreaking programming.
A new concept at your service.
And unforgettable moments that defined a century.
His name is Charles A. Linden. Ahead, 3,600 miles to Paris.
Through every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
It is a big sports night tonight that includes the Billikens opening up their season. They are at home this evening taking on Southeast Missouri. We've got coverage in about 20 minutes or so. 6:45 is when coverage with Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr. gets underway. Happy to welcome onto the program right now. Covers the Billikens for STL Sports Central, part of the team here at KMOX. He is Matthew Rocchio, and I believe he's at Chaffetz Arena. Are you there? Are we talking to you live from Chaffetz right now, Matthew?
Just outside Chaffetz, but yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Close enough. We're good there. Excitement level for this season. It feels like a lot of people are saying that this team has a legit opportunity to get to the NCAA tournament. Robbie Avila's talking about that being one of his final goals that he wants to accomplish before leaving college basketball. It seems like people around the program are putting expectations at a pretty high place right now. Is that valid?
Yeah, let's go with palpable, the feeling right now in Chaffetz Arena tonight. Everyone is waiting to get this season started. And, yeah, there's a lot of, hubbub. The national people are picking SLU to be their dark horse to make the tournament, potentially with an at-large bid, because this team is legit. Josh Schertz has shown you give him a couple years to build a program, and he can certainly build one. And you already said it. He thinks he's gone 10 for 10 in the transfer portal with this freshman class. And so they have depth. They have a star player in Robbie Avila, and they have a system that has proven it can work in college basketball. Now they just have to find the final key, which is getting to the tournament.
Avila's numbers last year were fine, but he also at the same time was not that superstar, can just lift the team by himself guy. If he's healthy, is it fair to say that that's going to be closer to what he is this year?
That's my expectation. And really, and I broke this down on STL Sports Central. If you see how SLU played when he was on the floor, they played, especially offensively, as one of the best teams in the country. And that was without the depth. That was without the shooting. That was without the athleticism that they have on this roster. So you add all of that, consider that Robbie Avila is a trigger in both name and, in the way he plays this game and how he works in this system. And so if he has those shooters, if he has those players working off him, he will produce more and this team will win more.
This team has 3 1,000-point scorers. It's not just Avila. They also have Paul Tino and Dion Brown there as well. How important is it just for the entire, the way this team was built, that they do have this type of experience and guys who have scored a lot of points, that they're able to rely on some depth from an offensive standpoint?
Yeah, that's going to be a big factor. Quentin Jones is also a guy who has filled up the scoreboard at 2 different places, Cal Poly and then at Northern Illinois last year. And so they have guys who have scored, and they have guys who had big recruiting numbers but then never put it together in their first couple of years. Trey Green, Ishan Sharma. So if you combine those veteran players who we've seen what they've done, if they can find their role, find their niche, and if these top recruits who weren't able to hit big at bigger schools, if they can then show what they were and what they're supposed to be as recruits, then yeah, this team's ceiling is the moon.
You alluded to the players out of the transfer portal. We've mentioned some of them, but there was a lot of turnover, a lot of guys out of the portal. Coach Schertz did a lot of work in that transfer market. Who are you most excited about seeing in terms of a newcomer to this team?
Man, it's really hard to pick that one. There's just so many. Paul Otieno is obviously the big name. You saw him last year when he came here with Quinnipiac. He's a big body. He can shoot threes. He can guard the rim. Brady Dunlap last year with St. John's. He didn't play a lot, but he made a name for himself with some pretty cool sideline antics. He's going to be a dead-eye shooter. He's big. He's going to talk some trash. It's really hard to pick one, but I'm going to roll with Brady Dunlap. I think he could shock a lot of people. He's got so much size. If he gets defensively activated with, being 6'7" with a little bit of plus size, he gets defensively activated. He gets on the boards. He gives the Billikens a complete Swiss Army knife at that 6'7", 6'8" level with the ability to knock down any corner three he's given. That completely opens up the system.
I'm well aware of the fact that the Billikens are heavy favorites tonight. That being said, this is not just an easy game for them to open up the season with. SEMO's a team that won the OVC regular season last year. They're the second preseason team this year. We know that these in-state teams, these regional teams, really value these games and get up for them. I would think that the Billikens are going to be tested a little bit tonight.
Absolutely. And again, there's only 3 returning players from last year, so it's a lot of new cogs in the system. And are they going to work? Are they going to turn the ball over? My guess is yes. They're going to turn the ball over a lot. They've done that in the scrimmages, obviously different level opponents, but bright lights, opening season, there's going to be a lot of turnovers. There could be a spot here, but the bottom line is the athleticism, the shooting, and the talent, and the health, and therefore the depth of this roster. It really makes it hard for me to see a scenario where they don't come out on top tonight.
All right, I only have like a minute left, but real quick before we get you out of here on City, they announced Corey Ray as the new sporting director. You cover City as well for STL Sports Central. Do you like the hire?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. If you look at Montreal, he was only there for a year, but they made a bunch of moves within MLS to get a lot of guys, and those guys played pretty well for a not very good team last year. And I think City's move has to be getting MLS veterans, guys who understand the travel, who understand what it's like to play in a rigorous league like the MLS. You can get some big-name talents from Europe. That's a good move, but the core of this rebuild of the roster this winter has to be with MLS veterans, and Corey Ray knows how to do that.
He is Matthew Rocchio. He's part of the team here at KMOX, but you see him a lot on STL Sports Central, and he covers both the Billikens and City SC. Matthew, thank you so much for the time. We'll talk more throughout the Billiken season.
Thanks, Paul. You have a great night.
Awesome. You too. That is Matthew Rocchio joining us on the program. Follow him on Twitter, by the way, at RockSTL, RoccSTL. And, he's a great follow. The way he breaks down the Billikens and some of his season preview that just came out where he really goes through the entire roster, it's fantastic. So I encourage you to check that out for yourself. We are going to take a break, and when we return, we're going to talk a little Blues hockey. They are back at tonight. They do make a small roster move today, making a trade. We'll tell you about that. We'll also hear from Jim Montgomery. That's coming up in just a moment. It's Graybar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody. Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
For 100 years, KMOX has been part of St. Louis. Now, Together Credit Union is helping celebrate that legacy. Starting in November, visit any Together Credit Union branch to pick up a KMOX 100th anniversary commemorative ornament for just $5 while supplies last. Each ornament supports Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis. Together Credit Union, honoring 100 years of KMOX, the voice of St. Louis, and Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis, improving the health of all children.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Get ready, Missouri. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming soon. December 1st, new customers in Missouri can get up to $300 in bonus bets when you make your first $5 bet. From touchdowns to homers to three-pointers, with FanDuel, any play can be the play of the game. Plus, with live betting, you can even get in on the action after the game is started, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. FanDuel is the best way to game day, and it's coming soon to Missouri. This way, you'll be all set to bet when FanDuel goes live in Missouri on December 1st. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri. Play your game with FanDuel, the #1 rated sports app. Must be 21 and over and present in Missouri. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Offer starts 12/1/2025. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG.
It's the most inspiring night in sports. The Musial Awards at Stiefel Theater. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event from St. Louis. Named for Stan the Man, the Musial Awards celebrate those who uplift us through their extraordinary sportsmanship. Experience the remarkable moments and people that make this an event like no other. The Musial Awards, presented by Maryville University. Saturday, November 22nd. Tickets at musialawards.com.
Matt Pauley, starting to wrap up the program. We are done early tonight for Billikens basketball. That is good to be able to say. We are going to hear from Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr. Also great to say, great to be able to hear. They've got the call of the game. Our broadcast tonight begins at 6:45 as the Billikens play host to Southeast Missouri over at Chaffetz Arena. 7 o'clock tip-off. If you're in the area still looking for something to do this evening, would encourage you to go check out the Billikens. They're high. I was about to say expectations. Yeah, I'll go expectations. High expectations for the team this season. A lot of excitement about who they are going to be. Coming into the year, there was a lot of excitement about who the St. Louis Blues were going to be, and they can still be that. But unfortunately, it has been a tough start to the season. They are sitting with a record of 3-7-2. To put that in perspective, they currently have 8 points. That is tied for the least amount of points of every team in the National Hockey League. They are tied with the Calgary Flames. Now, to be fair, the Flames have played 14 games of 8 points. The Blues have played 12 games and have 8 points. But either way, it is not going the way that we thought it was going to go and the way that we want it to go for the Blues. They are back in action this evening as they're going to match up against the Edmonton Oilers. That's going to be a 7:30 puck drop over at the Enterprise Center. Blues head coach Jim Montgomery spoke with the media earlier today. I want to go through some of what he had to say earlier after a morning skate did wrap up. He was actually somewhat happy with the way the team played each of the last two games. The 4-3 loss against Vancouver and then the 3-2 loss against the Blue Jackets their last time out on Saturday night. And even though they did not result in wins, what he saw from his team was better, and he feels like you're going to start seeing a lot more wins if they're able to replicate the efforts of those last two games.
I think if you continue to play better and you believe in a process, the results take care of itself. I think the last two games have been, for the majority of it, outside of some game management issues against Vancouver, they've been really good games. There's there's different analytics you can look at, and things will go our way. And when they do, the way we're playing, expected goals for and against, they tell a true story. That doesn't match up the eye in the standings.
Specifically to the Columbus game on the road on Saturday night. Again, they lost that game by a 3-2 score. As he looked and saw what his team did, he was especially happy with what they did in the third period and is hopeful that that version of play will be able to be something that they can replicate moving forward.
I just liked how we worked for offense last game. We took what the other team was giving us. We were playing a 1-1-3 team. We're not playing that tonight, but they're three stacked up against the blue line, holding the blue line. You got to play in behind them. You got to go to work on playing behind, which usually means a forecheck, and usually you're going to have speed against a 1-1-3 if you play it right. And we did that in the third, and we ended up with not only more possession time, but we ended up with a lot of second and third chance opportunities and two deflections that hit the goalie that, if we keep playing that way, those deflections will go in.
The big news of the day is that Robert Thomas is going to be back available. He had stayed back in St. Louis, had been skating over the last couple days. He told Coach Montgomery yesterday that he was good to go. So he is going to be the top-line center in between Pavel Buchnevich and Jimmy Snuggerud. And Montgomery said that getting Thomas back can be a very impactful thing for this team.
Oh, you got our number one center back, so it's a big boost. Everyone gets deployed appropriately with the minutes and especially matchups as well, especially when you're at home.
So like I mentioned, Snuggerud is going to be on that top line on the right side of Robert Thomas. When it comes to Dalibor Dvorsky, he is going to be the third-line center between Dylan Holloway and Oscar Sundqvist. So Dvorsky and Snuggerud, two young guys to be very excited about. They continue to play and move forward, and those two guys are going to be on the top power play unit together as well. And Montgomery really likes what he's seen from those two young players.
Not only not hesitate, but they're making plays. Both of them have made a lot of plays. Dvorsky's had a lot of chances in his two games so far and keeps playing like that. It's going to go in the net because he rips it really well.
Somebody who we really haven't talked about much, and I'm glad this question got asked today, Nick Bjugstad, and he's just kind of done whatever he has been asked to be done so far this year. He's working as the fourth line center right now in between Alexei Torpchenko and Matthew Joseph. And Montgomery did spend a little bit of time talking today about what they are seeing from Bjugstad.
A guy that I think is getting comfortable in how we play. He's getting comfortable in his role. It's always hard when you come to a new city. You got your outside of the rink. I don't say they're issues, but you got to get used. Your kids got to get used to a new school. Your wife's got to get used to where she goes to get groceries. All those things add up to off ice, making sure everything's good at home. Because when things are good at home, you're good in your own mind. You have peace of mind, and then boom, you go to the rink. You got to get your new routine. Where do you stretch? Where do you tape your sticks? All that stuff. It takes a little time, but he seems to be very comfortable now, and he's growing into that role that we've given him.
When it comes to the defensive pairings, Matthew Kessel in the lineup on that third defensive pairing next to Tyler Tucker. That's been that spot that's kind of been alternated between Kessel and also Logan LeMahieu, but right now it is Kessel that is in there. Speaking of all this, by the way, the Blues did make a move today. They acquired defenseman Calle Rosen from the Washington Capitals. Rosen has been with the organization before, has appeared in parts of 6 NHL seasons, was with the Blues during parts of 2021 to 2024. In the 2022-2023 season, he appeared in 49 regular season games for the team, had a single-season career-high 18 points with 8 goals and 10 assists. So we'll see if he gets back up to the Blues here sooner than later. They are continuing to look for some stability on the blue line from a defensive standpoint. That has left a lot to be desired this year, although we can say that about many parts of the team, but it feels like so often after some of these not so great performances, there's been a lot of focus on what they have done defensively and specifically with the defensemen. All that being said, Matthew Kessel, he's in the lineup tonight. Maybe you look at him as kind of the 6th defenseman. That's not the way that Montgomery looks at it, and he explains what they're looking for in Kessel.
It's really not a number 6 issue. It's a team defense and the D-core solidifying itself. Just a little stability back there with being able to defend hard end plays and start plays the other way in transition.
It's a pretty good Edmonton team that's coming in tonight. They sit with a record of 6-4-3. They have won 2 of their last 3, 4 of their last 7, so they certainly have done some nice things recently, and Montgomery feels like they know what to expect from the Oilers.
Not too much different structure-wise, pretty similar, if not exactly similar. Well-coached team that breaks pucks out well, a team that transitions extremely well, not only because of the 2 superstars, but that helps. And a team that off the rush, you got to be really good in your transitional defense just because of the creativity by their forward group.
Blues and Oilers tonight, a 7:30 puck drop over at the Enterprise Center. Again, here on KMOX, we are so excited to open up the season for St. Louis University Billikens basketball. They play host tonight to Southeast Missouri. 7 o'clock tip-off. That means Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr., they've got the pregame show beginning at 6:45, and then they will have the call of the game. That's going to do it for me. I'll be back with you tomorrow for a full 2-hour program, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Hopefully we're talking about a lot of victories, a Blues victory, a Billikens victory, a bunch of college basketball teams in the region in action tonight. Lots of things going on. We'll talk about all of it tomorrow, but up next, it is St. Louis Billikens basketball, the Billikens and Southeast Missouri. It's on the way next right here on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.